Hey, what is going on? Mark here, Silversound Guitar. Wanted to talk a little bit about one thing that I always preach to my students, and it is two-note chords. What is a two-note chord? It's a really good question. We've got a few of these, and the ones that I like to talk about first are primarily based around, being able to focus on either a power chord, which is our root and our fifth, or this other idea, which I think is way more interesting. And let's pull up like where we would use this and just kind of, talk about the sound. Root, third. Wow. So this really helps, I think, right off the bat, understand what we're doing from a major and minor perspective, right? Because we get major, minor. And that's kind of cool because we could kind of come up with a cool little chord progression, And that, I think, is one of those interesting pieces almost right off the bat, is that you aren't necessarily starting off playing guitar going. Like that's all well and good. I really do like playing guitar like that, But this doesn't make sense from a like a learning perspective, right? It's like you're sitting here putting 4 fingers on the fretboard, which you might not even know that this is a fretboard yet. You know what I mean? Like you might not even know what these notes do. So it's like, why on earth are we trying to train musicians thinking that this is the route that you're supposed to take, where you don't even know why you're playing this chord? You just know that this is a G. Like that's so, I just feel like that is not helpful, right, to anybody. That's not helpful to anybody, especially from a learning perspective. Right? The idea of learning is to grow and to have knowledge and to understand something about the instrument that you're playing, right? In this particular scenario, we're looking at how do we understand across the fretboard what these are called? How do we understand how to maybe pick? What are we even doing holding this thing yet? Like there's just so much that's going on, right? Where if you start learning at a very early age in your guitar adventure, right? Or your bass adventure, whatever it is that you're doing, how to maybe get one of those exercises that's like a combo move, like a 2-for-1, I think that's going to be the best thing for anybody. I don't care how long you played an instrument. I don't care how long how much you think you know, right? There's always something else, and I think this is such a cool concept. If you're studying what these notes are, you're instantly starting to learn music theory. You're instantly starting to practical application across the fretboard. If somebody says, "Hey, I want you to play a C," you're now thinking, "Wow, I understand where my C is, and I can play." Well, do you want a minor or a major? That's so cool. And not only that, it starts kind of helping you with a rhythm perspective. So think about this, right? You're sitting here going, I don't know how many beginning guitar students are going to know how to play a G minor, but most of the time when I encounter this, it's we're stuck playing these things, which is cool. I mean, I'm not knocking on this stuff. I just think it doesn't make sense from a hand perspective. I feel like we're doing 3 steps ahead of where we should be, right? And so why not just pull it back and just, instead of getting frustrated at some of the stuff that you're doing on guitar, realize that, oh wow, this is so cool that I can play 1 or 2 of these notes, and I'm understanding not only the root note and what the chord's called, but the chord composition. So you're learning like this music theory aspect as well, which I think is so interesting. So again, instead of doing something like this, yeah, it sounds really cool, but if you're first putting your hand around a neck and around a fretboard, this kind of stuff can be just as useful, right? You could sit here and go. It's like you get to understand rhythm, I think, a little more intimately when you're doing something like this. You're starting to use your fingers as well, which I think is really cool because you're getting like this back and forth, and it makes more logical sense. Like instead of sitting here and going, oh, I can't get it because the rhythm's really hard. or I don't know how to put my hand there, or oh, to play a G minor, I got to play this bar chord because I looked on the internet and this is what it said. Like, there's just like there's so many cool things that you could do, I think, in place of that, and these 2-note chords play a valuable role across understanding this. You know, think about putting this into a maybe like even a song perspective, right? Like look at how you get to play both of these notes, right? Instead of going, so let's say you could start like this, right? You could start going, okay. But what if you didn't have to just start like that, and instead you kind of understood, wow, I'm doing thumb, first finger, and I'm getting this whole idea. Instead of going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Now I can go like eighth notes, or 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. That kind of stuff is hard to do with a pick when you're first learning how to play like this. So I think this is really interesting. Getting your rhythm locked in. What's really cool about this too is you start to work on these things called dynamics, which is basically, you know, like I guess the simplistic version, right, is how loud and how soft you're playing, right? It's like, wow, cool. That's fun. You know, I didn't realize that I could try to bring it down a little bit and back up, right? And like that kind of stuff changes the game. That kind of stuff it really makes some of the stuff that you're doing sound and feel so much different. I think that is like one of the basic concepts that is so important when you're talking about being able to start an instrument, and you're talking about being able to like understand what you see in like the world where we are. You know, it's like there's so much stuff out there on the internet and with books and teachers. There's so many resources, but everybody's got this different idea. And so, you know, the thing that I like to start with again is starting with like a logical progression, right? The logical progression is that why would you play 4 fingers on the fretboard when you should play 2 or 1 and start to understand things from a more basic concept that you can build on, right? So creating that foundation, creating the understanding of again, the multifaceted learning process, right? Of like, wow, I didn't realize that I get music theory, I get this rhythm idea, I get these dynamics, I get to understand how a chord is made. Like, there's just so many things that go into this. So when I run into a concept like this with one of my students, I always start with this kind of stuff because I think it's a really cool way to break things down, and you know, and it's fun too, and it lets you kind of learn these chords that maybe you're not used to hearing. So hopefully this was helpful. See you next time.